Hi, Doug and Heather. It's not very often that we have like two people sitting on a couch together, so it's really fun. That's awesome. Hi, Wendy.
Hi.
You know what? I think our group, the people that registered, there was 25, and we only have the three of you so far. So what we're going to do is just get started, and then as people come on, I'll let them in and then send people the recording at the end if nobody else pops on. So I just want to start out by saying thank you for joining today. My name is Jessica Rorison, and I'm working with the Indigenous Business Development Services Program and Sage Hill Community Futures. And together, they have been offering virtual training now for almost 3 years, and it's been running every couple of weeks through September until June. And so today we're really glad we have Josie LaChance on, and she is going to be talking about, gosh, now I've lost my train of thought here. Josie, what's the title
Experience-based
again?
tourism.
Thank you. Experience-based tourism. So before we get started, I'm just going to read a land acknowledgement. So as we gather here today, we acknowledge that we are on Treaty 6 territory and homeland of the Métis. We pay our respects to the First Nations and Métis ancestors of this place and reaffirm our relationship with one another. And thank you very much for joining. So for anyone, first of all, who's not familiar with Community Futures is a federally funded program. There are 13 offices across Saskatchewan, and they provide loans, advice, support to entrepreneurs in rural communities across Canada. And there's also a component of economic development that comes with working with Community Futures as well, obviously, as they help rural businesses thrive in communities. So with that being said, we have Josie here, and she is coming from Rostern, Saskatchewan. So thank you.
Thank you, Jess. Yes, my name is Josie. My name is Josie LaChance, and yes, I am in Rostern. I am really excited to talk about experience-based tourism today. It is one of my passions. You'll see me emphasize supporting the tourism industry, but also the local tourism industry. And so I've been in this industry for about 7 years, and it's a ever-changing industry. There's always new things happening. And I was the director at an arts and tourism center. And then now I am in a volunteer position as the vice chair of the Rosserton District Chamber of Commerce. And I head up the tourism committee. And so we have lots of projects that we're working on, and it's really fun to be able to talk about this. I am just with my role, I have been able to work closely with tourism leaders in our area, and I see and know firsthand through my experiences how much effort gets put into promoting your business, your community, your district, and that's part of the reason why I'm a huge advocate for working together as a community and the district, and everyone benefits that way. And so since it's a small group, do you mind if I just ask what organization or business people represent? Is that okay? Whoever wants to go first.
There we go. We're Heather and Doug, and we run the Carousel Cookie Company. So that was our first venture with Community Futures back in, I don't know, a while ago. And so you guys helped us set up our cookie company, and we both have disabilities. So we were able to access grants and funding and advice, and it got going. Actually, it got big enough that we had to scale back. We did an expansion, and then my health got worse, and so we scaled back a little bit, and now we're starting up business number 2. We're still doing the cookies, in fact, packaging just before we got here. And so that was amazing. We are starting, we bought a house in Lucky Lake, and it was the old hospital. So we feel it has a lot of history, and we want people to come to Lucky Lake because tourism board has already approached us. And working with Community Futures, what we want to do is build a couple of small, little tiny cabins. So we've ordered them. They're on their way. They're coming next week. Yeah. And then they're like a kit, and we put them together in our backyard, and they'll be all access. So it will be barrier free. So instead of that's really important to us, because when we travel, we sometimes find that accommodating is shaming. And I don't want to be accommodated. I just want to go somewhere. And people think of that as a second thought, as an afterthought. And so what we're going to be doing is something that's a little bit unique. And it's something that will bring tourism to our town.
Great. I love that. What a good idea. I look forward to following along on your adventure. So this is right up your alley being here. We'll talk about some things that will definitely be helpful for you guys. And Wendy, go ahead.
I own the House of Stitches in Humboldt, and we do the Saskatchewan Stitches Conference at St. Peter's Abbey and College every spring for the last 21 years. We bring people literally from across North America. Some of our teachers, participants come from all over. We've had people from as far away as Australia and the UK attend. We do that once a year. And we also do twice a year, we do knitting retreats. We started out doing them at Manitou Beach at Harmony House in 2020. And when they sold their facility, luckily the Abbey was redoing a part of the guest wing, and we were able to move there after that. So those are our three big events that we do every year, and we do bring people from all over. So I just want to know how to get the word out to people. Like, it's my email list is the best thing. And I find Facebook to be totally useless these days. So if you have some hints on that, that would be great. But that's what I'm after.
Sounds good. We can definitely touch on that too a little bit at the end. Okay, so I'm going to just jump right in and my page here, and I'll share my screen and we'll get going. All right. Okay, yeah. So welcome to experience-based tourism and working together with your community. I will just sort of preface this with I did a experience-based tourism course as COVID was happening, and we were looking at alternative ways to get people to our facility because we were no longer able to do the big public in-person events, and that's what our center relied on. We relied on these big events with jam-packed theaters, and now we were having to switch gears completely. Luckily, we were selected by Tourism Saskatoon to participate in this course, and it really opened our eyes up to this new type of tourism that was started making its way sort of all over the world, and maybe it wasn't at the forefront here for us. And so I'll just start by saying, so what is experience-based tourism? Well, it is many things, but mostly it is about meaningful interactions with local people, places, and cultures. Creating meaningful interactions with people in your visitors that are coming. They want a authentic experience, something that they're not going to get somewhere else. It's usually a sustainable and mindful travel experience where the focus really is on experience a place by actively engaging in the activities, culture, and lifestyle. This type of tourism emphasizes personal experiences and connections with the destination rather than just visiting popular sightseeing sites and moving on. So this is really talking about creating a unique experience that your guests will want to come back for. They will want to share with their friends and their family. It is all about the authentic experience. This is a growing trend as more travelers seek meaningful and transformative experiences that go beyond traditional tourism. And it's not a one size fits all type of experience. And so everybody's event or project or experience that they're creating is unique, and it's going to attract, you're setting it up to attract certain people, but it doesn't mean that it has to limit you. And you can look at sort of your demographic and define it a little bit more, which I'm sure some of you have done this before. I'll get into that in a couple more slides here. But basically, these are the top 4 things to consider when you're planning your experience, or when you're thinking about creating your new space or creating your conference or your workshops. Is how can we make it meaningful? How can we do something that goes beyond the traditional sightseeing or traditional things that maybe a conference or a accommodation offers? How can we go beyond that? Consider the impacts of your community. And that's a really big one, because there's so many ways that your initiative can support your community. But then also, when you bring your visitors to your attraction or your experience, you can provide them with a list of things to do in the area. So there's so many things that you can do to create a unique experience. So whether that's sourcing all products or as many products as you can locally, but then also and having them there and giving them to your visitors, but also how can you get your visitors to go and experience the community that you know and love as well. And of course, everybody wants their experience to be memorable. And usually by doing that, it's through some type of hands-on experience, like what you guys are both creating. So these are kind of reiterating those facts, but basically consider experience-based tourism if you're looking to reach a more specific or a new demographic. You want to provide a more authentic and immersive experiences. You're interested in creating memorable experiences, and you want to offer an escape from mass tourism. So that's usually a big one, especially with Heather and Doug, with creating your own little sort of places that's completely different from a hotel stay. And so you're creating a unique experience for people, and they're getting out of the sort of regular checkbox things. This is just a quick stat I'm throwing in here just so you can see, because I think this plays an important part. So this top number here, this 27 million number, that is 27 million overnight stays for Canadian visitors. So people who are coming to Saskatchewan are from Canada. They're from Saskatchewan, they're from Alberta, they're from Manitoba. And then about just shy of 100,000 are people coming from outside of the country, US residents. So it's actually quite a large amount of people, which was surprising to me to see that it was so large. But it's good to know that people are touring Canada and they are exploring here. But that might change the way you look at developing your experience, because it's not so much for people outside of Canada. And how does that sort of change for you? Another interesting stat, if we break that down larger, 66.4% of that 27 million are people from Saskatchewan. So Saskatchewan people are touring their own province. We want to know what's here, and we want to take the opportunity to explore and find the things that we haven't done, those unique experiences. And partly, I think this is because people are creating these unique experiences. So it's giving people an opportunity to go and explore their province in a unique way. And then one more quick, the circle on the right here. People who visit from outside of Saskatchewan they're coming to Saskatchewan to visit their friends and relatives. And then they're most likely going out with their friends and their relatives who live here. So again, you're still targeting Saskatchewan-based residents. Those are the people who are out doing these types of experiences, primarily, as per the stats from Tourism Saskatchewan. So I thought that was interesting to know, because I think we often think of tourism as beyond, but it actually can be, you know, closer, your sort of hub. It can even be people from the next town over coming to engage with your experience. So just something to think about as we move over here, and things to consider when we're planning our authentic experience. So talking about those visitors, we want to really get to know them, and a way that you're going to be able to do this is sort of dig a little bit deeper. So to identify your target audience, you need to sort of reach or look beneath the surface, other than just, is it male or female, or what age group do these people fit into? Those are important things to look at, but what is beneath the surface of those visitors? I think that this is really important, because this is how you can curate your experience to be more authentic, to be more meaningful. If you have, you know, if you're looking at the type of people you're going to attract, what are their interests? How can you create certain events for certain people? I guess I'll give this example of the experience I was a part of. We wanted to utilize our outdoor space, which we have never done in our programming before. And so, okay, well, we have a garden. Who likes to garden? Well, primarily women. So with women, who would be coming to do a gardening experience? Well, maybe a mom and daughter. Oh, maybe it's intergenerational. Maybe it's a grandma, mom, and daughter. Maybe we can target it to that group. Maybe it's a group of friends. Maybe it's a splurge group coming, or a ladies type of gathering. Maybe it's a book club coming. So we really were trying to hone in on the specific things that our visitors might be interested in, and how can we craft the experience to be to hit all of these different levels. We also did, as a part of the gardening experience, we were collecting herbs to make our own drinks, and these were just mocktails. And so we collected the herbs, and we went and we made a syrup. We did like a little cooking class. We showed people how to make a simple syrup so that they could use it in their drinks, in their ice cream, you know, whatever you're interested in using it for. And so then we started to think, well, who likes to make cocktails? Who's, you know, so there's so many ways that you can look at your target audience, and not just by age or by gender. And there's so much beneath the surface to all of us. And so I think that's a really big part to hit. We were also a tourist center, so we had a lot of heritage. It's a train station that had been around for a long time, so we really added in the history element to attract a new demographic. So we ended up having a really full experience, and we had a very big mix of people coming for these events. And that's because we really curated it to specific people, and not just, you know, women who are 30 to 50, or men who are, you know. So that's something to really think about when you are planning your experience. I could talk about this part forever. There's so much study that can be done with this, but that's sort of the gist of it, just to kind of get that in your brain. With your experience,
I was just going to say,
Go
I think that this is brilliant. Honestly, like even for stitches, like just to start thinking about the audience, and maybe historically it's been like women a certain age that are being targeted. And I just think this is a really great way that you've put this together. That's all. That's why I want to share.
Thanks, Jess. A little vote of confidence is always great. So yeah, it really is important to just think a little bit differently. You know, especially when if you're creating the sort of getaway places. People, are they going to be coming for one night or 2 nights? Do you have sort of different themed spaces? I can't remember if you said you had 2 or 4 that you were doing. But you know, do you make them a little bit different? So maybe one appeals to one type of group of people, just those little things that you can think about. Instead of making them all identical, how can you tweak them a little bit to hit, you know, maybe this one's like a little bit more trendy, maybe this one's a little bit more rustic, maybe this one, you know, just with your decor and things like that. When you're looking at your space that you have, whether that's like your physical space that you run your business from or within your community, it's always important to think about the underutilized areas and how important they are. When there's things to us because we're so used to them. We see them every day, every time we go to our workspace or our business, we see them every day, but they're actually very interesting for other people who don't see them every day. I live in a town that has a train that goes right through it every day, 3 times a day. It's not anything that's, you know, very exciting for me, but every time the train came by and people were in the restaurant, everybody stopped and went to the window and looked out the window and was so excited that they could see the train right there. And that was kind of like a aha moment. Like, I'm so used to that happening every day, but other people aren't. And so that is a very unique experience where they're probably going to go home and say to their husband, hey, I was out for lunch today and the train came, you know, it's just things that we don't think of because we're so used to it. So it's important to just sort of open up our eyes a little bit more and look at those things. And defining your experience. You really want to define the experience you want to offer. So this could be a cultural immersion, adventure activity, culinary tour, or any other experience that sets you apart. What about this? Here. Yeah, and so even if you're not looking to develop a whole experience, you can take things from this to apply to your event, to your business, and use it to sort of tweak things to make it a little bit more authentic. Doesn't mean you have to go and create something brand new, but how can we tweak what we have to reach more people and create that meaningful experience? What is it that's going to get those people to come through the door or purchase the ticket for the conference? And getting those new people in, how are we going to reach them? Maybe that's getting, I don't know if this makes sense because I don't have anything sort of any knowledge in the world of stitches, but maybe it's bringing someone in who can talk about a different part, maybe if you're looking at attracting a different demographic. Sorry, I should have thought this through before I started talking, but I have an idea. When you're looking at your conference and if you're looking at attracting new people, what age are those new people? What are they interested in? And is there someone you could bring in, like a speaker, that would cross over into your field, but into the interests of the others from the new demographic you're trying to reach, if that makes sense?
Yeah, and you know what, Josie, I'm just thinking, like as a mom with teenage daughters, and I'm not crafty, but my mom is. But so now my kids are gonna miss the boat on learning how to sew or do anything because I don't do it unless my mom teaches them. But if there was a conference like this that was also geared to teens, that they could be accompanying. So maybe before it was just tailored to like the moms and the grandmas, but maybe now it's about bringing the younger girls in too, right? So now you're teaching them a skill.
Exactly. And I think when I was doing the experience planning, we totally overlooked intergenerational sort of events and how people do want to do things like that. You know, when we go to my grandma's house, me and my cousins, we always go and we play cards because my grandma likes to do things, we like to do things. So doing something together out, like an experience like that, is something that we would all remember and will cherish And again, it's creating those memories that are a big part of the experience-based tourism. And so definitely don't overlook in the intergenerational, whether it's moms and daughters or moms and daughters and grandmas or grandparents and granddaughters.
We actually have a lot of moms and grandmas that come and bring
Yeah.
teenagers and young people. There's no age restriction on our classes. The other thing we get is a lot of families, like groups of sisters, sometimes the mom too, that live all over the country, but use this event to come and get together. Because some of them knit and some of them sew and some of them might do something else. So there's a little bit of something for them to take part of different things.
Yeah, that's very important. I like that you have no age restriction on your enrollment for your classes. So when you are planning your experience, and you're thinking of the itinerary for that event or that experience, or maybe it's, you know, the experiences they're coming for the weekend, it's important to include things that they can do in the area, because maybe someone is traveling from a further distance away. So where can they stay? How can they make this a weekend adventure? And when they sign up in advance, if there's, you know, this list that goes to them once they sign up for the class or the stay or whatever it is, here are all the things that you can do when you're here. And that really helps to create, again, you're adding these components for them to help develop the experience and making it meaningful and making it authentic. But you're not necessarily having to plan every single activity for them to do, because there are other places in your community where those things can be done. So including activities, accommodations, meals, transportation, even including there, like where to park when you arrive, just so that everything is thought through about their stay or their experience, and there's no questions. They can just show up. They know to park by the blue house and come in through the yellow door, or whatever it is that you have. And it's just clear, and it makes everything that much smoother. It's those little things that show that you went the extra mile, and it makes it a seamless experience for everyone, because you're not standing around wondering what you should do and where you should go. So again, when you're planning the itinerary, just focus on engagement. That's really important. How can people be hands-on when they're participating in your experience? This can be through many different types of things. So maybe you've planned a hands-on activity, a workshop. Getting your locals involved is always great. There's usually someone around in the community that knows something, that will teach something that, you know, will help to provide that authentic experience of the area. Including them really helps, again, to make that meaningful experience. Of course, you want it to be authentic and incorporating all the local elements that you can. Like I said about the train going through right by the building, what are the things that are sort of true to your area that people aren't going to get from anywhere else, and would make them not necessarily want to come back, but then they're going to tell people about them, and that's going to eventually lead to hopefully new people coming back. Sustainability is a big part of the experience, and there's so much to consider: the environmental, the social, and the economic impact of the experience. And so making it sort of aiming to minimize negative impacts and contribute positive to the local community. This is something I'm truly passionate about, and I think the more that you can support your local community, then they'll support you back as well. And when we were doing the experience with the garden, we were making the simple syrup, and simple syrup is classically made with white sugar. And we were thinking, well, how can we're trying so hard to create a food to table item. We want to support our local community. What else could we use? Well, we could use honey. We have tons of bee makers in our area. We can use honey. So we ended up finding someone sourcing honey and using simple syrup made of honey. Nobody had ever, through any of the experiences that we had people come, they had never used honey before. And that was a really great way for us to promote of someone in our area, but also something unique that hopefully maybe they'll, make their simple syrup with honey now instead of white sugar. So really thinking about how you can impact your community. And making it sustainable, keeping it small and using less reusable item allowed us to use actual linens, and then we're only running this experience once a week, so then we would wash all the linens and fold them and tuck them away until we were ready to go again. So it was a way for us to be sustainable. So there's many ways that you can do that. Again, then the last couple things here that are important are providing excellent customer service, capturing memories, allowing, whether you set up a specific photo area or just making it so there are making it so that the moments that they are having, they want to capture them and they want to post those on their social media or just have them to hold on to. And the biggest one is always seek feedback, because there will be something so small that someone might say that could have a big impact on your future experiences. So always asking for the feedback, because there's always room for improvement, and it really just helps us to refine and enhance any future experiences. So whether that's like an automatic thing that goes to their email after they leave, or a little checklist or piece of paper that you leave for them to fill out, it's always great to have that feedback, because you just never know what people will say, and hopefully they'll say mostly good things and give you some tips on how you can improve. Maybe it might be something you would have never thought about. I recently stayed in an Airbnb and I just assumed they would have a blender, and they did not. And so I had messaged the host and just said, hey, we know you noticed you didn't have a blender here. And he said he never even thought about it and was going to go get one and add it into his kitchen. So just those little things that help to improve the experience for people who are going to go the next time, or your future people. So with these things in mind, you're well on your way to creating your meaningful experiences for your visitors. I think really taking the time to think about your target audience and who that's going to be and how you can create the experience around them, that's really important. And those are the people you are doing it for, and how can you really kind of like hit the nail on the head with the experience for those people. So I kind of already used two examples, like the one example about the garden alchemy program at the Station Art Center. But I don't know if you guys have heard about the Youth Farm Corn Maze in Rostern. It's grown quite significantly. It used to only be a corn maze. So it was just a corn maze. You'd go out, you'd do the corn maze, and you'd go home. Like there was nothing more to it. That was it. Eventually, they started to expand, and they added a petting zoo. They added another corn maze. They added tours, like you sit in the back of a big truck on bales, and it drives you around and gives you a tour. Just a full-on farm experience. And I have had friends that have been going there, and they say they'll spend 3 hours. Like it's a full outing. They've created tons of backdrops for people. They've got an old truck with pumpkins and bales for people to take pictures in front of, and then a pumpkin barn, essentially, which is just a barn filled with pumpkins, and it makes for a great backdrop. But the thing about that is, every time anybody who's been there, and it is jam-packed almost every weekend there, it's very crazy. But everybody takes the pictures in the pumpkin patch and they post them online, and everybody knows, hey, they were at the Youth Farm Corn Maze, because it's so significant. Like when you're there, you just know. And so it goes to show that you can have a small idea and how you can really expand it and how it can really benefit your community. Now, the Youth Farm Corn Maze brings in, I don't, maybe Jess might know this number. I'm putting her on the spot. I should have looked it up, but they're usually, I don't even know. I couldn't even guess a number because it is literally packed there from August till the day it snows. And it's so great for our community because all of these people then trickle into the community. They come to the coffee shops, come to the stores, go for lunch, grab up, get their gas here. And so it's been really great for our community to have a big initiative like that, to have people come out at that time. But it just goes to show that you can work with your community as well and how everybody can benefit.
Yeah, I think that's great. Like I started taking my kids to the youth farm when it was just the corn maze. And now that my kids are teenagers, there's still stuff for them to do.
Mm-hmm.
And now they have food trucks and all sorts. I remember taking my kids in to use the washroom in the basement of the church that's on the property. And now they have that all set up. Like, I mean, they have really done a good job. And you're right, just by making that part of the community. And now people, I can always now tell the city people, right? The city folks, they get all dressed up to look so cute in these backdrops. Yeah. And I think it's brilliant. Like really, it's a great outing for the city dwellers to come to the town, the small town on the weekend.
Yeah, it's really great, which kind of I can segue this in for Wendy here a little bit. When we talk about marketing, they have really done that for themselves with creating this really big place that allows a lot of people, but they have these backdrops, whether it says the Youth Farm Corn Maze behind it or whatever it is, and everybody wants to share those because it's the classic sort of fall picture of the pumpkins or the corn or whatever it is. I don't know where this came from, but all of a sudden it's just a thing. And so how can you create those moments for people so that it automatically posts that they want to post it onto their social media, which will then get the word kind of buzzing for maybe your future events. It doesn't necessarily help you promote that event specifically, but it will help you promote the future events. And I think that your e-newsletter that you have set up, I think that's always going to be one of the best ways to communicate events or any type of thing with. I think if you have that set up, you're doing a really good job with that, because there is a lot of places for people to look for things. And I think with Facebook, you do sort of have to be a little bit strategic in making sure the information that you're putting out is frequent. It's not just sort of once and then done. With Facebook, it's kind of like after a couple of days, it's gone. And so a little bit more frequent, and potentially even if you have the budget for a small boost on Facebook can go a long ways, because you can select your demographic on Facebook and your budget, and then it will, and the length of time that you would like your ad to run for. So it's pretty curated in that way. And you can do something for even $20, which could reach a lot more people than just a regular post. So that could be something to consider.
Yeah, for sure. And also Instagram, your audience might be younger and maybe more active on a different platform like Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's just about getting the ads onto those platforms and then letting the ads run. It doesn't necessarily mean you need an Instagram account, but you can still have an ad go out on Instagram. If that helps. I'm not sure if that helps you at all, Wendy, but
yeah, we do Instagram as well.
Yeah.
It's just, you never know what you're getting
Mm-hmm.
on the social media channels,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't really have a way to track. Like the new people who register? What did they see it on Facebook? Did they get an email? Did a friend tell them? We always ask those questions on the evaluation, but
Mhm.
we never quite get the information that we need to continue.
Right.
And people don't read very good. This year I started a new campaign where I sent out individual emails for each instructor and their classes. So there was a lot of emails, but at the same time, if people were interested in that particular person, then they could see everything they were doing in one shot. They didn't have to click on a different page. So I was trying to make it easier for them. And we emailed it, then posted it on Facebook and Instagram.
Mhm. Did you feel like that worked a little bit better?
I have no idea yet.
Okay. It is tough because there are lots of platforms that you can use. I think picking one and doing a really good job, picking two and doing a really good job at them is a great place to start. The e-newsletter, it goes directly to those people's inbox, so that definitely goes, you know people are seeing it. Whereas on Facebook, that's a little bit more challenging because it doesn't always pop up. Unfortunately, I noticed this. This was about a year ago. I went to go do a paid advertisement, and it asked me if I wanted to advertise to my following. And I thought, well, shouldn't they already be receiving this? But no, I have to pay to make sure that everybody sees it. Like, it seems a little silly. But anyways, off topic. But yeah, that's great. Does anybody have any questions? I have a couple more slides left, but I just want to see if anybody has any more questions. Yeah, go ahead.
So just to clarify, like some of the things that we're doing, environmental impacts are really important to us as well. So with Carousel, we've all of our packaging is minimal and all biodegradable or compostable. And we want to utilize as much of that same mentality with this new project. And we want to encourage people to have the experience of being out in an outdoor shower. Like, we've included different things. There's composting toilets, all of the gray water is being run out to the garden. Every unit has their own little raised garden bed so that the wheelchair won't affect your ability to go grab some herbs for your salad.
Oh,
Or
I love that.
that there's an apple tree that is mature, bonus. So people can, like pick some fruit if they want to. Some of those things we're wanting to build an English flower garden too, like over time, develop it so people can wander and everything will be wheelchair accessible, because I use a walker, so I know how important it is to not have gravel roads or paths. So we want also to, like, our place is called We All Stay because they're tiny cabins and all is just for everybody. So we want to really give that neat little tiny house kind of feel. We have a larger lot, but we're still right in town, but we're only, 20 minutes from the lake. So Palliser Park has also developed a wheelchair accessible beach just down across from, like, by the beach, right across the ferry ride over to the other side of the lake. And so we want to kind of join up with all of that stuff. How do we actually market our, like, the crazy ideas that we've had over the past hippie years? We never really, like, if I tell somebody that we're reusing their water on the garden and how important that is in a dry year, how do we let people know composting toilets aren't yucky, or like, you know what I mean? Like, how do we go about doing that so that it's a neat thing to do and try, and not like, oh, gross, you don't have running water? Or we do, but we have a bucket under the sink with clean water in it and it's sealed and it comes out. And that's your
Right.
water to run back into the gray water system. So, like, we don't know exactly how to market that.
Yeah, I think from experience, what you probably will really benefit from is really good branding. So making sure you invest, and maybe that's someone that comes and does some short little videos so people can actually see your space and see what it looks like. And hey, by the way, you would never know this was a compostable toilet. Like, making it it's very interesting when you start to look at these things. I know I was just recently in Thailand, and they have little sprayer hose beside the toilet. And every toilet, everywhere you go, there's a little sprayer hose. So then you just use that instead of toilet paper. And at first you're like, this is crazy because everybody who's going to the bathroom is touching this thing. But then you're sitting on, and anyways, it's like a process. But then once you use it, and here we're talking about toilets, but once you use it, you can see that it actually is a good thing, and it's not something to be afraid of. So I think just proper marketing will really help you. So whether that's just some really beautiful photos of your space, so people can see that it's not just a bucket or whatever. Oh, you're on mute, I think.
That's exactly right,
Yeah.
because we want to make sure that this is like everybody poops. We're not going to go into that whole conversation, but we want to make sure that people know that it is a really unique opportunity to see what a tiny living would look like, or what composting looks like. We compost everything. And if people want to experience compost toilets, that they could do it for the same price or less than a hotel, like,
Right.
and
I
we
think,
want
yeah,
that to
I
be.
honestly think that doing the proper branding is going to be key. And you can do people where like people come out and they will do short videos, and they will put together something that is just like magnificent and will work really well, I think, for what you're trying to get across to your potential customers. Um, when we did this garden alchemy experience, we had a whole film crew come out, and we did this through Tourism Saskatoon. I know you said you maybe were approached by a tourism industry group.
Yeah, we're like, before we were on hashtag I got this, and they came out and did a show in our, like, it's a show on TV. So they did
Oh,
us in there. So, and it
nice.
turns out we're not camera shy. So
Mm-hmm.
that's fine. So
It
it was
just it
really fun.
Yeah, it really helps. I think it would be a huge benefit. When we did the garden alchemy experience, we had a full camera crew come out. They had a drone. They did overview footage of everybody out in the garden collecting their herbs, video footage of everybody making their syrup, making their mocktail. And then, at the end, we had finished it off with a mocktail that I had made, and a snack, and these were both locally sourced items, mostly from the garden. It was very simple, but knowing that it was just tomatoes that we just picked from the garden and then put on the plate with some fresh herbs and some olive oil that was locally made, so it was the same sort of thing. But then when you see it in a video form, like it does it so much more justice to people who haven't done the experience, and they say, hey, look how beautiful this looks. Hey, we want to go do this experience. And so I really think that it is worth the investment in the long run, because you can use that for years and years to come.
Well, we believe in this so much that we're using our retirement for this. This is what we believe. This is the time. And we've talked to people who are saying that they wish that they would have done their dream and before it's too late. And with my disease being progressive, and Doug's, just as well. So we just want to make sure we're doing the things. This is really important to us. So we want to do it right, but we believe in it 100%. It seems like a ludicrous idea because we just bought an old hospital and we're building tiny houses, and people are going to come here. Why? Like, it just seems crazy, but we believe.
Well, that's great. That's great. Good for you guys. That sounds exciting, and I'm looking forward to following along and seeing how that progresses. Um, I A couple more minutes here, but I will just say you might want to just mark this one down. This might help you. Um, some resources here, Tourism Saskatchewan, Canada. So I'm just going to exit out of this here. there we go. My things here. Okay, so this is the Tourism Saskatchewan Canada website. This is kind of what I'm talking about, this snippet video here, where they're just showing little snips of things happening, just showing people having a good time. It just makes it a little bit more enticing. Like, wow, look how beautiful this is. I want to go visit there. Where is this? I need to find out where that is. How can I get there? But at the bottom of their page here, you'll see Tourism Saskatchewan Industry website. And if you click there, this is where I had grabbed some of the information for our session today. But there are resources here for you. I'm not sure if you've stumbled upon this yet, but there are resources here for you from this beginning to the end. But mostly, if you go into the statistics and research, there are things in here for you to explore. They've come up with personas of people that they think will, or that they know are, sort of like the key people who are touring the area. So it might be a parents with 2 kids under 10. That's sort of one. It might be the adventure couple, that's sort of another. So how can you target? These are the prime groups that the Tourism Saskatchewan is saying exist. So how can we fit our experience to meld into those groups? And so definitely take a look at this, because it could be helpful for you. And I know that Tourism Saskatchewan and Tourism Saskatoon, I don't know how close you are to Saskatoon.
We're an hour, just over an hour from Saskatoon.
So, it could be something worth reaching out to them as well, to seeing if they have any advice for the tourism industry. They were really helpful for a lot of people around Saskatoon, because they want to, when they bring people, how do you say, when they're looking at getting sort of big contracts to come, like big conferences to happen here, and getting big names to come, or whatever it is, to the city, all of these little things they can use in the portfolio to help them present to these people. So anything like that, they might be able to assist you. And also Sage Hill has some great resources, which you already know because you've used them before. But I hope that this was helpful, and you can take some tips away from here.
I think this was great, Josie. Honestly, I think it's really smart, and I love the resources that you've provided also. And I don't know if you know about the Entrepreneurs with Disabilities $750 that could go towards some of your photography or marketing efforts.
We used that before too. They taught us all about how to teach classes over Zoom.
Oh, okay.
That was amazing.
This is a different business, so you might qualify again to access some dollars for marketing. But I think that this is, being able to partner, like Josie's kind of saying, being able to partner with other businesses in your community to make your event or your place even more attractive is smart. Josie's done that so much within our community. She's been the leader in so many different initiatives in Rosthern. And I think that it's smart when you can get so many people involved. It makes, the more people who want to come out here because of all the different opportunities they have. It's not just, come out to Rosthern and go to the thrift store. No. Come out to Rosthern and do these 15 things, because then it makes it worth your while.
Yeah, and then those businesses that you get involved, they'll help promote your business as well. So it goes both ways. Extra people spreading the word about your business, especially if you have busy areas. That's another thing. Like it sounded like you said you have a beach that's close, or like a campground maybe even. So, or any area where someone might go to find information. If you have something you can bring to them that they can pass out, that's huge, because the locals know where all of the good local things are, and so they will help spread the word for you, and to hopefully help you glamorize compostable toilets a bit.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's great.
Thank
Does
you.
anyone have any questions before we log off here? No.
Great.
Well, thank you
Awesome.
everybody very much for joining. It was great.
Thank you
Thank you
again
very
for having me.
Thanks, Josie. That was good.
Thanks, Josie.
Good.
All done.
I'm going to stop the recording.